My name is Blake Gold. We moved here in 1995. I've been a full-time cyclist the whole time. We raised 3 children here. My family had 1 vehicle, but I rode my bicycle to my jobs. So we need a proper bike lane from ferry to ferry in order to show the world how beautiful our island is and how safe it is to travel by bicycle on. I've had 2 altercations with cars. It hasn't stopped me from cycling the same way that someone who has an accident in an automobile would stop driving. Cars were at fault in both situations, but I happened to be there at the time. But if we had bike lanes, I don't think either of these accidents would have happened. And that's all we're looking for, is some more government funding so that we can get proper bike lanes all the way across the island, just on the main roads. We don't need them everywhere, but we do need them on the main roads going from ferry to ferry. My first altercation happened at night, and I don't mind that Salt Spring doesn't have a lot of night lights on the roads, because my bike has a very strong light on the front. But I was coming home at night. There was a car going somewhere, and they came around a sharp corner using up both sides of the lane because they were apparently in quite a rush, and I happened to be there. So in order to not get hit head-on with the car, I had to veer off the road. There's no shoulder on the road, so when I hit the gravel, I fell off my bike and broke my collarbone. When I fell onto the gravel and when I fell off my bike, I landed back on the pavement. So I'd like to think if they saw me lying on the pavement that they would have stopped, but they were going at like 100 kilometers per hour. Yeah, I don't even know if they knew that I was there. And that was the first time I broke my collarbone. And then collarbones break easily after that. So the second time a car tried to get me, my collarbone broke quite easily. They just went through a stop sign, you know, and kind of nicked my back wheel, and I went into the ditch. So they never got me. And the second time that it happened, I think they knew and they drove away. I know when I frustrate people that they wonder what I'm doing in their way. It's a matter of all of us being there together, you know? I see a lot of people driving their cars and they're either looking around at the scenery, or believe it or not, lots of people nowadays, they don't see me on my bicycle, but they're on their phones. And I think that we just need to remember that the roads are for multi-use, and that by making way for those other forms of transport, I think we're actually, probably improving our community by having 1 less car. The quality of the shoulders I would describe as not shoulders. Most of them are ditches. We don't really have shoulders because I think a lot of the roads were probably horse and carriage paths that have been paved over and turned into what we now call a road. But I don't think any of them were ever manufactured or structured as a road per se, the way that we do highways and other proper roads. So I think a lot of places there aren't any shoulders because they're just ditches where the water runs beside the road. We could certainly shoulder our roads. That seems to be a common thing around most of the world to do on a road in order to make it safer for multi-use. And I think if we had a bike lane that went from Vesuvius to Fulford and was successful, that people might think, some of the drivers might think, you know, I kind of like that bike lane. It puts them off to the side and they don't frustrate me anymore. But I think if we had a successful route, a main route that was successful, that I think a lot of people would understand the benefit of that, and then we might find other routes that we could add to it. I want to say you should come cycle on Salt Spring Island because it's the most beautiful place in the world to cycle, with our arbutus trees beside the ocean, cafes to drink coffee, and people like us here. But we do need it to be a little safer for bicycles, and that's what I'm here for. So come on to Salt Spring, come ride your bicycles. The more of us that are here, the more infrastructure will come, and the more beautiful it'll be for all of us.
Highland Pathways has been working to get a bikeway through Salt Spring Island since 1988. This means widened paved shoulders on the main ferry routes, about 20 kilometres. Safety is the number one concern, especially as cyclists' numbers increase with ever more e-bike riders. The Sailors Sea Trail Network cycling routes on southern Vancouver Island draw people to Salt Spring Island, which remains a rough gem in the main ring. Let's bring this section up to acceptable safety standards for local and visiting cyclists. so we can get this amazing 260 kilometer loop trail connected and showcased to the world. For more information, check the links below.